StraightallDay.com.
You are now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you have expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. What is that? That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself. It's going to make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is do not be cheap with your investments. Before we get into this, remind you all, or inform you if you didn't know, I send out daily motivation text messages free of charge every morning to everyone who is in my text community. You want to receive this message that is guaranteed to have you starting your day being focused, sharp, and on point. Here's what you do. Text me right now at this number, 305-384-6894. Just send a text. Let me know you want to get the daily motivation, and you'll be getting that message every morning when I send it out for free as a member of my texting community, as I just told you that you would. Secondly, Work on Your Game University is the place where you go to work with me directly. Some people will come to me and they ask me, well, Dre, if I want to work with you directly, do you offer any type of coaching? Do you have any kind of programs? Where's the next place that I go? If you ever had to ask me this question, then I made a mistake, because I should be reminding you of this every single time you see me, that the next place to go is Work on Your Game University. So workonyourgameuniversity.com is where you get all the next steps. I will tell you exactly what to do. It is very simple, very easy to do. Just go to workonyourgameuniversity.com and I will tell you what your next steps are and how to take them. Those links to my number and to the university are both listed down below in the description to this episode, video, audio, whatever you are listening to. Now, get into the subject. Don't be cheap with your investments. Talking about this because I'm talking about this because I see this movie way too often. People becoming thrifty, i.e. cheap, pinching their pennies when it comes time to invest in themselves. This is not only the worst, but the dumbest time and the worst and dumbest way to go cheap in life. If you want to go cheap on things in life, go cheap on your expenses. Don't go cheap on your investments. Those are two different things. An expense is something that you pay for. It is not going to pay you back. You're not getting anything else out of it, so you can go cheap on that. Investments, you should never go cheap on, because these are the things that are going to pay you back. So if you only put a little bit in, you can only get a little bit out. All right? Everybody agrees with the law of the universe, also known as karma, right? Most people agree with it. So why would you put a little bit in and then be mad when you don't get much back? Today we're going to talk about why this is that people make this mistake over and over again. And I'm going to hold a mirror up to some of you who need that mirror held up to you. That's what we do over here at Work on Your Game, in case you didn't know. So if this is your introduction to me, welcome. Point number one. Today's topic, once again, is do not be cheap with your investments. Number one, remember what an investment is. An investment is a down payment on your future success. When you go to the gym and you work out, you are doing that workout, which may not be fun in the moment. Why? Because in the future, you expect to be in better shape than you are in today. When you go and you invest time into building relationships, which may be a very time expensive for you, the reason that you're doing it is why. Not because it may not be that fun or exciting in the moment, but the reason that you do it is why. So in the future, if you need to call in a favor, there are people who are willing to pay you back a favor because you paid them one by investing in their thing when they needed it. Now they'll invest in your thing when you need it. That's what an investment means. An investment is you taking some money out of your check and putting it into some type of investment, financial investment vehicle that you're not going to touch. Why? Not because you enjoy the feeling of seeing money leave your bank account, but because you understand taking this money out of your account right now is going to be more money in the future if you allow it to multiply based on the vehicle that you have decided to invest in. See, an investment is a down payment on future success. That's what it is. So if anything, when it comes to investing in your future, you should over-invest, not under-invest. If you're going to make a mistake when investing, invest too much. Don't invest too little, at least in something that you know is going to work. In all the places of your life that you spend money, folks, you should spend the most money and be the least price conscious when it comes to investing in your own future. This is the place where you should not even be worried about the price. You should just be worried about the value. What's the difference between price and value? Price is how much you pay. Value is what you get. See, when you know that you're going to get value out of something, you should be looking to invest as much as you possibly can into that thing. Not as little as you can. You should invest as little as you can into expenses, things that don't do anything for you. So for example, I told people, one of my personal vices, I like to eat candy. I like to eat sugar. So I went and ordered candy off of this app called GoPuff, that you go in there and you order the candy and they bring it to your door. 30 minutes later, you got a bag full of candy, or as much as you want to order from GoPuff. If I'm gonna go cheap on something, I should go cheap on the candy that I buy, because that's an expense. That's not an investment. I'm not investing in anything when I buy candy. So I got a bag of Reese's Pieces on my desk right now. Those of you watching on video, you can see the bag, Reese's Pieces. All right, it is open right now because I've been just slowly snacking on it for this afternoon. I should go cheap on that kind of stuff. Why? Because it's not paying me back. If I want to invest in something, I'm going to try to get the best when it comes to the gym that I go to, or the good food that I eat, not the candy, but the meals that I eat, the produce that I buy. I'll go buy organic from Whole Foods. This is the most expensive produce I could buy in town, but I'm going to buy that. Why? Because it's an investment. It's an investment in my future. When I go to a program, or I go to an event, or I sign up for somebody's mastermind or something like that, I want to invest as much as I possibly can into it. At least as much as they'll allow me to. I might have to earn my way to certain levels, but I want to invest as much as I possibly can. Why? Because I'm investing in my future. I'm looking for something that's going to pay me back in the future. So I'm going to put as much into it as I possibly can, because that gives me the highest level of eligibility to pull out of it in the future, to pull value out of it in the future. Everybody get what I'm saying? So in what areas are you investing in your future every time you spend money? All right, so let's talk about what these areas are so that everybody's clear. First of all, we're talking about your mind. Anything that you put in your mind is an investment into your future. So you need to be careful about what you're putting in there, and especially anything you pay money to put in there. What are you putting in your mind all day, every day? What do you listen to in those AirPods all day? Second thing is your business or career, whatever you do for work. Third will be your body. Fourth, your relationships. These are not necessarily in any particular order. Maybe the relationships is higher on the list for you. So maybe if you're a family person, maybe family is first. I would say mind is first, no matter what. I would put mind number one, and then between your business, your career, your body, and your relationships, you can put them in whatever order you want. But all of these things, doesn't matter what order you put them in, you should not be going cheap in any of these areas, because you only get one mind, you only get one body. So those are non-negotiable. Most of you probably spend a considerable amount of your time focused on your business or career and or your relationships. That means your significant others, your kids, and your family. Why would you go cheap in any of these areas? These are areas that are probably most important to everybody who's listening to this in some order. So when it comes to these areas, never, ever, ever be cheap. Never be price conscious. That doesn't mean you can just go spend any amount. Hey, maybe you don't have it, but you shouldn't be going cheap just to save a couple dollars. That's what I'm saying. Buy the best that you can, because how you invest in these areas determine how far you're going to go in these areas in the future. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is do not be cheap with your investments. Number 2, you only get one physical body, right? So you shouldn't go cheap on what you put in it or how you work on it. So do not buy the cheapest food that you can buy simply because you're trying to save money. You should buy the best food that you can buy. Why? Because you don't have a lot of money. That's the reason why. The reason is the reason. The excuse is the reason. If you're buying cheap food, for example, I'm talking about the body specifically here. This could be metaphorical, but this is also literal. If you're buying cheap food, that means you're going to end up in the hospital paying expensive doctor bills later on in life, for which you won't have a choice of how much you're going to pay because of the garbage you're putting in your body right now. So this is a small investment, or being cheap with your investment now is going to cost you a whole lot in expenses in the future. Or you can go high level with your investments now and have very little expenses when it comes to your physical body later on down the line. Or at least you can stave off those expenses a lot longer than you would normally have to if you were going cheap on your body right now. I'm using the body as an example here because not everybody has a career that they're super excited about. Not everyone has a family. And the mind, you can't see it. The body, everybody understands this one. And we all have one common thing amongst all of us, is that you only get one of them. You can't just swap one out and go get another one, no matter how much money you have. So you should be investing as much as you possibly can into the best things that you put in your body, because once it's gone, it's over. And you don't end up in the hospital again paying very expensive medical bills that you don't have a choice for. You won't have the option of shopping around when it comes to those medical bills when you're 52 years old, but you're being cheap on going to McDonald's to eat dinner when you're 31. All right, you're playing the game backwards. You're hustling backwards. and understand, you're making bad investments when the cost of the expense is much more than you saved by being cheap on the investment. See, when you go cheap on your investments, your expenses get really high. And when you go high level on your investments, your expenses become low. Everybody follow me? Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is do not be cheap with your investments. Number 3, most human beings, especially in the Western world, have very deep emotional feelings about their money. So if you're going to invest in something that can help you make money, you shouldn't go for the cheapest. You should go for the best that you can get. Why would you hire somebody cheap if you're trying to make money? That doesn't even make sense. But people do it every single day. Why would you hire someone based on price if your goal is to make enough money to where you never need to make decisions based on price? You probably want to hire the best you could possibly get, because they're probably better than the person who's cheap. Again, if they can't even understand how to price their own stuff, how are they going to help you? All right, even hire the best that you can, even if you can't afford to invest in it. We just talked about this in yesterday's episode, or 2 days ago in the episode. I told you that as an entrepreneur, one of my principles is if I need to invest money that I don't even have into something because it's going to help me do better business, I'll do it. That's a principle of mine. I'm not telling you you have to have that principle, but I would suggest that you strongly consider it. Let's put it that way. All right, get the best that you can, even if you can't afford it, because it's going to put you in a position to where you never have to say you can't afford something. That's the whole point. And understand, you have to commit before you get the outcome, folks. Commitment comes before outcome, even in a dictionary. I was talking to a person once who was telling me, they confided in me that they did have a coach, but this coach wasn't giving them everything they needed. Therefore, they were looking for a different coach. Okay, that's fine. People change coaches all the time. This person told me that the coach that they had was not providing what they needed. Me and this person, as they were telling me more about this was not necessarily a consultation. We were just talking, but we had a conversation, and they were telling me about what they're not getting from this coach and what exactly they did need from a coach. And we had a conversation about me possibly coaching this individual who had a coach that was just inadequate for their needs, right? So this conversation continues. I made this person an offer. I said, all right, you want to work with me? This is what we're going to do. We're going to handle this, the things that they said they needed to handle. We're going to eliminate these things, the things they said were the challenges. And I made this person an offer. All right, this is what it's going to cost. Now, I knew relatively quickly, once I made this person an offer, that what I was offering them was more than that person was comfortable with investing financially. I knew this offer was a little bit out of the range of what they were expecting, and probably more than they had ever invested in anything. And as a matter of fact, I've had this same conversation with like 30 people. And maybe not you can take the coach part out of it, but other than that, actually, even with the coach part in it, about half of that 30 had this issue. They had a previous coach, they needed a better coach. And then the other half didn't have a coach, but they needed this thing. They needed someone to help them. They pinpointed me as someone who could possibly help them. I made them an offer, and the offer surprised them because it was maybe higher than they expected. I've had this happen over and over again. Here's what happens, and this happened many times. Instead of this person telling me that, hey, this is a little bit more than I expected. Sometimes people will tell me that, but then in this particular one that I'm thinking about, this person didn't tell me that it was more than they expected. This is what they said. They told me that the coach that they currently had, so this is where the rationalizations begin. All right, so just listen to what I'm telling you. They told me that the coach that they currently had, remember the one they were complaining about? They said, oh, this coach is actually good, and I have learned some things from this coach, and I made back my investment from working with this coach too, so it's not all bad what I'm doing with this coach. Now, let me interject in the story and tell you something just for your information. I'm not going to tell you how much this person was paying that coach that they were complaining about, but I will tell you this. All right, the investment for my program was 20 times the investment for this other coach's program. Actually, probably more than that. I will tell you that much without giving you a number. It was 20 times more than what they were already paying their coach. Now, I'm not telling you that to impress you, but to impress upon you that this person making their money back from their previous coach, in other words, they made back what they invested, there's not that much money to be made because they hadn't invested that much in the first place. And see, this is the problem. This is the exact point that I'm trying to make to you all. The amount that they had made back from this previous coach wouldn't even be enough for them to pay their living expenses and their bills if they made it back every month. It wasn't enough. The point is, by simple reasoning, if this coach, a couple points here. Number one, if the coach that they had, the current coach, was any good, Why are you even talking to me about getting a different coach? If your current coach is good, you shouldn't even care about what any other coach has or what any other coach is offering. But at the same time, I've told you all this as well, that your customers are polygamous. All right, your customers and clients do not stay just with you forever, no matter how good you are and how much value you give. Nobody stays just with you. That's number one. But again, this coach is any good. Why are you talking to me? I even said this to this person. They didn't answer that question because what are they going to say? There's nothing really they can say about it. And these are the kind of things that happen when you go cheap on things that you shouldn't go cheap on. Because again, this person making back their investment, what they invested in this other coach, wasn't even enough for them to be satisfied, which is why when they heard that somebody else, me, was a coach, they started talking to me about possibly coaching them. Like, why are you even asking me? If you've got a coach that's good, just get more out of the coaches you already got. But the coach wasn't good enough. And here's the reason why that coach wasn't good enough for them. Doesn't mean this other coach, whoever they were, was not a good person, or it doesn't mean they don't offer value, but this coach was not good enough for you, which is why, and it goes back to, again, the circular reasoning problem. You didn't invest enough in coaching in the first place. That's why you weren't getting enough out of the person you invested in. Because you went cheap on the investment. That's why you're in the problem. That's why you're in the situation that you're in. And again, everything that I'm telling you all, this person that I'm talking about, this is a true story. I said all of these things to this individual. And of course, they didn't really have anything to say back, because what the hell are they going to say? They couldn't say anything that wouldn't make them like a complete asshole for having the conversation they were having with me and giving me the excuses that they were giving me. So they just kept quiet. And here's the thing. These are the kind of things that happen when you go cheap on things that you shouldn't go cheap on. All right, that's the whole point here. I'm just trying to give you all this as a forewarning. Do not make this mistake so you don't end up this person in this conversation with somebody. And by the way, I've had this conversation with so many different people. All right, there's somebody who's listening to this. You might think I'm talking about you, but I might not be. You have company. There's a bunch of people who I've had the same conversation with so many different people, because it happens over and over again. And that's why I can speak about this with so much confidence, and I can lay out and basically paint a picture of how this goes. And I know some of you, even if I've never talked to you before, I'm describing something that you've done, even if we don't know each other, because it happens so often. It's a common human thing. This is human nature. This is not endemic to any individual person. Point number 4. Today's topic, once again, is do not go cheap with your investments. Point number 4. I consistently hear from people who tell me that they want to level up in their relationships. They want higher level, higher quality people around them, and they just don't have them around them right now. So they want better people. They tell me that they have a bunch of people around them who are not serious about success, not really looking to do things like investing in themselves. They wouldn't even be listening to an episode like this one right now. They wouldn't have made it this far into the episode. And they are wondering, how, Dre, do I get around these higher level people? How do I get around people who are just better quality folks? I'll tell you how to do it, because it's actually very simple to do. You want to know how to do it? Write this down. Invest in access. Did I say that too fast? Let me say it again. Invest in access. What the hell does that mean? Well, first of all, I got a whole episode coming on this concept, but before we get to that episode that'll be coming soon, it means use your money to get into rooms that you otherwise would not be allowed into for free. Everybody hear what I said? Do I need to say it again? Invest in access means using your money to get into rooms that you otherwise would not be allowed into for free. You're going to use money. You're going to get in for pay. You couldn't get in for free. You're going to get in for pay. This is sometimes known as, some people call these masterminds. Sometimes it can be an event or a conference where the ticket price is higher maybe than what you are comfortable spending on a ticket to an event. These are the rooms where the people who you want to be friends with are hanging out. That's it. These are the rooms where the people who you want to be friends with are hanging out. So if your challenge is wanting to level up in relationships, I just solved your challenge for you. All you got to do is start using your money to buy your way into rooms where you will meet other people who have, guess what? They bought their way into the room too. Those are the people you want to meet. Point number 5. Today's topic, once again, is do not go cheap with your investments. Number 5, never, ever, 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 not once have I ever invested more than I was comfortable investing in any of the above aforementioned areas and regretted my decision. Let me say that one more time. Never in my life have I invested more than I was comfortable investing in any of the aforementioned areas: relationships, my body, my mind, my business. Never have I invested more than I was comfortable and later on said, damn, I regret making that decision. I shouldn't have did that. I invested too much money. Never. Zero times has that ever happened. I spent more money than I was expecting to go to in events. I've never regretted going to the event. I've invested more money in food and fitness and trainers than I expected to or planned to. I never regretted it. I've invested more money into programs and coaching and courses than I was expecting to invest. I have never regretted those investments. Even when those investments put me in a tougher space, in a tighter squeeze than I expected to be in, I never regretted the investments. Why? Why have I never regretted these investments? Is it because I'm some genius who is just super lucky when it comes to the decisions that I make investment-wise? No. It's because each one of those investments put me in a better space in areas in which I could not and should not ever afford to be cheap. Let me say it again. It worked because those investments put me in a better space in the areas in which I could not, should not, and should never afford to be cheap. You need to take this mindset with you into anything that you invest in. Where are the areas, and we talked about principles in the last couple episodes of the show. In what areas of your life would you not compromise on investment based on price? In what areas does the price not really matter? It doesn't mean you're going to just give up all your money for everything, but you're going to look at the price and have an idea of what you're getting for bang for your buck. But at the same time, it's not a price decision. It's not really a price thing. It's more of a value thing than a price thing. What areas of your life is that true? You should know. Because if you don't know, well, we know how that goes, right? Let's recap today's class, which is do not go cheap with your investments. Talking about this, I've seen this movie too often, people becoming thrifty only when it comes to making investments, but they will spend wildly on things that are expenses. Things, i.e. things that don't pay you back. Well, let's talk about this. So, point number one. Remember that an investment is a down payment on your future success. So if you expect success in the future, you should put as much down on it as possible to kind of keep the payments lower. Kind of like when you lease a car. The more money you can put down up front, the lower the payments will be every month. It's the same thing when it comes to your investments. The more you invest now, the easier it will be in the future. Point number two. You only get, for your body, for example, you only get one of them, so you should not go cheap on what you do with your body or what you're putting in your body. If you're going cheap in that way, well, it's going to be very expensive to pay the doctor 20 years from now. Number three, most people have deep emotional feelings about their money. And if you're going to invest in something that can help you make money, you shouldn't hire the cheapest, you should hire the best you possibly can. As a matter of fact, hire the best that you can't afford. Even if you can't afford it, you should still get that person. And the reason why you should do this is because, again, we all understand what you put in is what you get out. So if you put in a little, you're going to get back a little. All right, is anyone who disagrees with that? Good. Point number four. I consistently hear from people tell me they want to level up in relationships, for example. They want better people around them. They got a bunch of people around them who are not that serious. I'll tell you how to get around better quality people in life. I don't care what you do for a living, is invest in access. In other words, find a room that is gathering people who you want to be connected with, and then you pay whatever it costs to get into that room. So now you are a member of the room instead of an outsider watching the room. That's the fastest way to move on it. And number five, never, not once, have I ever invested more than I expected to invest and later regretted that investment. Never. In the areas in which it matters the most to me. I told you the areas. It is your business, it is your mind, it is your advancement as a person, and it is your relationships. I've never invested quote unquote extra in any of those areas and later on said, damn, I should have kept my money. I should have saved some of my money. I should have went with the lower price option. Never. Zero times has that ever happened. And it will not happen to you either. This is why you have to change your mindset around how you use your money to invest. And again, money is just one form of investment. The other forms are time, attention, energy, and focus. Listen to episode 609 to learn about the 5 forms of investment. But you need to be investing as much as you possibly can in the areas that matter most to you. Why? Because they will pay you back as much as they possibly can. This is the way it works, folks. This is just simple logic, simple algebra. Whatever you do to one side, you got to do to the other side. All that said, text me, tell me the best idea, insight that you got from today's class. What are you going to do different based on what you heard? My number is 305-384-6894. Get that text every day straight to your phone. Daily motivation, that is, after you text me. Secondly, Work on Your Game University is the best place to work with me directly. If you want to get more strategic in your business, you want to build systems to where you can produce certain results over and over again and you have the accountability to execute, all of that's provided in our program. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com and let's get started right now. Work on your game. Dre all day.